Hey guys, my name is Matt. You're watching Code Tech Tutorials. Today I'm going to show you my favorite way to do libraries recently. And yeah, let's get into it. If you watch this channel, you know I use VC Package Manager a ton. So on Windows here, if we launch our shell and have already set up VC Package Manager, it should just work and we can check out libraries and kind of install them like you do on Linux. So let's say we want to find the FMT library. It's a small library that will make for a great example. It's just for formatting strings and stuff. So you do want to have your VC package manager up to date. I think I said in a previous video that, I had a whole script for updating VC package manager. That's fine at all. And you still do need to do a git pull every once in a while. I guess you need to be in the repo. So let me just go there and get it updated. I'm going to change to my E drive and to source, and then I think I have VC package manager in here. Yeah, so that's where it is. And then we're going to do git pull and just pull down the latest changes. Looks like there are some changes, but just be aware that you need to have this updated in general. So if you just install it once and then never do this, you're going to run into problems eventually. All right, so we're going to use Visual Studio with the C++ framework, or with the C++ workflow. Let me launch Visual Studio 2019 Community Edition, and I'm going to show you my favorite way to add libraries, because of course, okay, so normally with VC Package Manager, you basically install them globally, just like when you use Linux and install something, a library, you install it globally. I just want to make an example here. Here's a Linux shell, and if you do like sudo apt, well, I don't know what fmt is called here. Let's do apt search first, fmt, and see what it finds. Which one of these is the right one? There it is, lib fmt dev. So on Linux, if you want to use it, you basically just install it globally, like sudo apt install lib fmt dev. Put in your password, let it install, and now you can use it on your Linux projects globally. And it's the same way that with VC Package Manager if you do an install. So let's close that, launch my terminal here. So if you, in VC Package Manager, if you go install fmt, it'll say it's already installed. I have my triplet set as x64, so that's the one it tries. It tells you how to use it with CMake. If you're using Visual Studio with their build system, then it's automatically already set up. But if you don't want the global libraries, that's what we're going to talk about here. So you launch Visual Studio. Say you haven't set up any libraries, any triplets, anything. You just installed Visual Studio and updated, or not Visual Studio, you installed VC Package Manager and updated it, nothing else. So let's go to create new project. And I'm going to show you both the ways. I'm going to show you with the CMake project. So let's do that first. So I'm just going to use the template here, CMake project. I'm just going to call it test1 CMake. Create that project, and it's going to give me all the defaults. And here we are. So by default, you have a top level CMake file, and you have a project level, because you see it doesn't add subdirectory for your project here. So here's the project one. Very good. Now the only thing you need to do if you want to start using a library with your C++ files here, you basically need to do this stuff. Let's go project right here. Change this link libraries to the right name. You can do this find package before the executable, it's fine. So this is the way to do it globally. I'll explain the problems with doing it globally like this. And maybe these problems aren't a big deal to you, and if so, that's fine. Okay, so literally all we've done is we went to this project, this subdirectory file, and just added find package and link libraries. That's all we've done. Now we should be able to include FMT now. It's fmt/format. So that's grabbing it globally from the VC Package Manager installs. So yeah, all we had to do was have it installed via the global method, do the find package, do the target link libraries to it, and it should just work. We can now include it. Got a little test here to do a print to make sure it works. Do the same startup item, build, and we should get don't panic. Okay, so format's working globally. But what if you upload this to GitHub and someone else downloads it and tries to build it and it doesn't build because they don't have format installed? Because you could say, hey, this requires VC package manager, and they'll be like, fine. But then they got to go manually over here and install all your libraries, which is a pain. So what if I told you there's a way to make these libraries automatic for your project and nobody ever has to type in what they need to install? So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now the big thing here is you want to add a manifest. So you go to the top level of your project and add a new file and call it vcpkg.json. And in this file, you need to have a few basic things. But basically what this file is going to do is it's going to tell your project, or tell VC Package Manager what libraries it needs for your project. And if someone goes and clones this later and tries to build it, it's going to automatically grab these libraries. So the downside here is it saves these libraries all locally. But the upside is it's now per project. So what we do here is we put in, it does need a name, so we're going to put in a name. Now I've discovered that this name means absolutely nothing. Typically you just make it your project name, but it really doesn't matter. Version string. There's a lot of other stuff. These are the required things. You have to have a name. It has to be all lowercase. You need a version string. This also doesn't seem to actually matter at all. But normally I guess it would be the version of your project. For now, we're just going to like smash some keys because who cares? But you just have to have those. And the last thing, the most important thing, is dependencies. In this, you use the robot brackets and you start listing your libraries here. So FMT, that's the only one we're going to have here for now. Now this is going to automatically grab it. Now, if you've already previously built your project, you have to delete your out folder where it's got all your build stuff. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So we'll hit generate here, see what it does. It's probably going to be fine. It's probably not going to complain. Yeah, it works fine. But it's still using the global one. It's not actually using this JSON yet. So to get it to use the JSON, you delete this folder if it exists, rerun CMake, and if it doesn't pop up, you just make a change to one of the files, like add a space, delete a space, hit save, whatever, and then hit generate. And it's going to generate all this stuff again. And if you look at your output here, it's going to have a bunch of new info. This is the CMake output. It's going to say that it installed some stuff that it needs. Now this goes off the whatever you have your project set to. So we have it set to x64 debug. It's going to grab the x64 debug of FMT, and it's going to tell you the same thing. You need to add these find package target link libraries. We do already have those. I think it's over here. Oh, that's top level one. We do already have those in here. I'm going to put them close together. I think it's just going to be easier to read. And there we go. So we've done that required. And now it should work. So if we just hit play here, it should still work. And there we go. Now this is no longer using the global FMT. So we could actually even go over to here and go VC Package Manager, remove FMT. Removes the package. Because we don't need it installed globally with this method, it'll still work. I guess we need it to do a fresh build, so let's add some more text here and let it rebuild. There we go. So even without it installed globally, this works fine because it's getting it for the project, just based on this dependencies. Now I'm showing you bad practice here, and I apologize. This probably should match your project name, but I just wanted to show you that this name doesn't actually matter as far as just like getting the library working, and same with the string. But it might matter if you have builds and you're uploading tests to some special doc or something. So you should still put in the right names, even if it doesn't matter. Now I want to show you a few other things, like what if we add the release. So if you go up here, I want to manage configs, and you hit plus, and then let's find x64 release. There it is. Select that one. We don't need to make any changes. It's got all the stuff already that we want. It's going to be a release build, so we can now close this. And now we can switch this to x64 release, select our startup item, and it needs to regenerate CMake. So what you're going to see here is it's now going to go, if we go to the output, it should install the release version of FMT. Looks like we encountered an error. Okay, the entire problem here was the name. Name does not like having an underscore. You can't have an underscore in the name. Or else it will not give you an error that makes sense. Because, well, welcome to being a coder, where half the time the errors don't make any sense. So, okay, let's go back to 64 release. It says it switched configs. And let's go to a CMake, have it generate this thing, and check out the output. We can see it's now getting the library it needs, FMT for release now, x64 release, and it gets what it needs. All right, so now we can build the release version. Go to select startup item, run it, and there we go. So that's how you do it with CMake. And of course, you can add as many libraries as you need. Just put a comma, add another one, comma, add another one. And they essentially need to match exactly what's in here. If you don't know the exact name of it, go to your shell and do a search first. Just search for whatever you need. And type in that exactly. So that's just another example of another library, but there's tons of libraries that you can use here, of course. Now you'll notice, I just want to point out one last thing here. If you go to, the CMake settings.json, this is where we're setting up these different build types. You'll notice down here that under these variables, manifest mode is checked, install mode is checked. So they basically have the settings for you that you would want. You typically don't need to mess with any of this. You can just add the release build like I did if you want. All right, so let's do a different example. Let's say you don't want to use CMake and you just want to use the standard Visual Studio build because CMake doesn't work for you or whatever. So you go create new project, empty project. We'll just double click it and we'll do, we'll just leave it project 1 for tests. That's fine. So I'm going to show you how to do it here if you're not using CMake and you're just using the plain old build system that comes with Visual Studio. A little less portable, but it should be fine. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to change this to a folder view. And we can see that we have no files in our project. Now what we want to do here is add that VC package manager or the vcpkg.json as basically the first thing. We've got no output, no error list. Yeah, that's fine. So we don't have, it doesn't start you out with the main. Let's go ahead and add a main. Add cpp main.cpp. And we'll include IOStream. Sure, why not? And we just want to make sure it runs in main. Okay, so let's just make sure this runs. This is debug x86, nothing special there. And we just want to make sure the code's fine in project setup. Okay, so the debug in x64, this matters for pulling down libraries again. But what we want to do here is add the JSON file. So we're going to go back to the top level, add, where's file? Okay, so this project, this is going to be a little different because it doesn't just have a clean add. You can add here, new item, but it's going to try to give you stuff it already, it's going to like pre-fill out stuff. So it's a little less intuitive. And there's a few other things you got to know. So what we're going to do here instead is we're going to open up the shell. You can open up the shell with control tilde. And you can see we're at the root here on the shell. And we can just type in new dash item and then the name of the new item. We're going to make this vcpkg.json. And there it creates it. Now we don't see it here because it's at the top level. So that's kind of the annoyance of doing it this way, in my opinion, is you just don't see it easily. But what you can do is you can right click and go to open file folder in Explorer, and it'll open up this folder, and you can see it right here. So you can edit this. We're going to use Visual Studio Code because why not? And you essentially do the same thing though. Give it a name, give it a version, give it the dependencies. Now this is the one that actually matters here. And we're going to try the same library, FMT. And there we go. So we can now save and close this. We're going to leave this folder open. I'll just drag to the side. But now what happens is, let's say we try to include FMT/format. This works, but this is probably using the global one. However, it shouldn't, because we already uninstalled that, I think, didn't we? Yeah. Well, let's go like this. Remove FMT, and let's tell the triplet x86 debug. Let's make sure that one's removed, because previously we removed a 64. Okay, so yeah, remove that one now too. So now this x86 one should not work. Now it might need a refresh. It might still detect it for a minute or something. No, it's gone. It's already gone. There's no format here. All right, we should get some squigglies. Let me put in some test here. Here, we'll put that in there. And let's try to run it. We get test. We didn't get this format print. Let's add in a few more things. I think the build is failing and it's just not saying so. Yeah, the build is failing, but it's not saying so because, I don't know, they just don't tell you. So if we go over here and hit build, we should see one failed. Yes. And it is saying it cannot open include file format.h. And you might be saying, but I added it to this VC package manager thing. Why isn't it working? Well, they don't have the manifest on by default. So what you have to do is you got to go to your top level project, right click, go to properties. You can also get to this from project properties. And in here somewhere, okay, I'm saying this wrong, sorry. You got to do it on your project level, not the solution level. So on this one, go to properties, your project, and look for VC package manager and use VC package manager. It defaults to no. So you want to change this to yes. Apply. And now when we go to build, it should install this. So let's go ahead and do that. Build, build. And let's see what it does. Error occurred. Version was not in a relaxed state. So I made a little mistake here. The way I was doing version, it should have been version dash string in this case. There we go. So now it should work. And it looks like it's doing its thing. It detected x86 Windows because that's what we're set to up here. And it's building it, and it's going to work. So you can use this with CMake build systems or with the standard Visual Studio build systems. So this is awesome because now if someone downloads it and opens it in Visual Studio, it's going to have your project settings of the manifest being on, and it's going to have that package manager thing. It's going to have this, and it's just going to auto get their libraries. Now, of course, they do need VC package manager set up, but that's easy and quick to do. So anyone should be able to do it. You don't have to worry about triplets this way because the triplets just automatic based on your build. I know I already said that, but just wanted to make that clear. This just makes it a lot simpler. All right. Well, let me know if you have any questions down below. Appreciate you guys. Hopefully this helps with you getting your local projects up and running, whether you're using CMake or Visual Studio. There are other ways, of course, but yeah, this way is really great for setting up a new project. And yeah, just let me know what you think. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.